about November 9th, is it? Joseph Milter out in Valdosta, Georgia. He's being taped because they got a guy named William Somerset who's working for the FBI. They think Milter might know something about the bombing of that church in Birmingham in September, and he does. He knows the guy who did it, he says. But then the talk turns to Kennedy, and he says, it's easy to assassinate President Kennedy. You can shoot him from an office building. All those rifles come broken down. You can just reassemble them upstairs. And if he is assassinated, a patsy will be chosen to throw the police off and satisfy the public. Somerset, is reported back to the FBI and the Secret Service, so they're all concerned because Kennedy's coming to Miami November 18th. On the day of the assassination, Somerset gets another call from Joseph Milter. He says, I'm in Dallas. You're not going to see your boy Kennedy ever again. Then hangs up. There's a picture of Milter out there in Dallas as well on the parade route. So the assassination is kind of falling apart when Joseph Milter knows about it and Trafficante knows about it. Who else knows about it? Then there's the Sunday before. This is again from government documents. There's a man working at the New Orleans office of the FBI. He eventually becomes a banker. He tells the House Select Committee that Sunday morning, like Monday morning, 1 o'clock in the morning, he saw a teletype from J. Edgar Hoover. Said there's going to be an assassination attempt on President Kennedy in Dallas. Try to get some more information on it. He takes the teletype off, puts it on the FBI agent's in charge's office, and doesn't think about it again until Kennedy gets killed. Goes back into Harry Maynard's office and finds there's a jacket on Lee Harvey Oswald as an informant to the FBI. So this is his testimony. So if it's true, J. Edgar Hoover has a week notification that Kennedy is going to be killed, but Kennedy is killed. J. Edgar Hoover says Lee Oswald did it. Well, my analysis based in November is FBI are doing their job for once. They're tracking the assassins. They're getting a lot of information coming in, maybe informants, maybe agents in place, maybe people are just telling them, but there's an assassination forming on President Kennedy. The only question is, are they going to stop it? They were able to contact Secret Service in Chicago. Now they got this 1 week's warning, but the assassination takes place. And here's why the assassination takes place. When J. Edgar Hoover sends this memo out, it just doesn't go to his people. It goes to the CIA. It goes to the Department of Defense. It goes to the Secret Service. The problem is these are the groups that are going to be assassinating President Kennedy. CIA is going to form the plan, the military is backing the plan, and the Secret Service has already been penetrated. So the assassination takes place. Something that you might not know that much about is fake Secret Service agents in Daley Plaza. Kennedy gets shot. The Secret Service and the agents in the motorcade take off with Kennedy. Forrest Sorrell says he's the first one back. Takes 20 minutes because of a traffic jam. Problem is we have men identifying themselves and showing identification of the Secret Service. How can this be? They're not real Secret Service agents. People who run across the grassy knoll, hop the fence, are stopped by men identifying themselves as Secret Service. A police officer with his back to the Texas School Book Depository tells the Warren Commission, I'm standing there, a woman comes rushing up saying, they're shooting the president from the bushes. Bushes are down the street. He tells the Warren Commission, he too thought the shots were coming from the bushes, because they are. He runs down Elm Street, hops up the grassy knoll, hops over the fence, pulls his gun on a man. The man takes out regular ID of the Secret Service. He says, oh, he feels foolish, and he put the gun back. The guy's standing right behind the fence. And he's not real Secret Service, but he does have Secret Service ID. If he's legit, why didn't he capture the guys who were shooting in front of him at the president from the front? Another police officer drives around to the back of the book depository. He's going to capture the guy running out. As he enters the back entrance, the same entrance that James Worrell saw a man come busting out, he sees a group of men in suits, heavily armed. They identify themselves as Secret Service. He doesn't get any ID. He just rushes on in. So you've got Secret Service coming from the grassy knoll. You've got Secret Service in the back. They're not real Secret Service. Warren Commission knows this. They're trying desperately to find out who are these guys. They can't do it in 64. 1977, House Select Committee does do it. They find, what's his name? Lieutenant Colonel Robert E. I forget his last name. But he tells the House Select Committee that he's in charge of an Army intelligence unit in Daley Plaza, 8 to 12 men, that if asked, they would have said they were on detail to the Secret Service. Well, these guys all over the place are telling people they're Secret Service, which is exactly what his men are supposed to say, or would have said. But more important, they're also showing fake Secret Service ID, so it's a little bit more than someone misleading the public. If those are his men, and he's in charge of Army Intelligence Southern Command, that means the military backed the assassination. They've got their own men in Daley Plaza protecting the shooters. And he can't do it on his own. He's got to get his orders from who's ever head of Army Intelligence, telling him what they're going to do. So the House Select Committee wants to talk to these 8 to 12 men, right? They wrote after-action reports. Number one, they can't find the after-action reports. They supposedly were destroyed by the Department of Defense. But then Department of Defense tells the House Select Committee we had no record of Department of Defense personnel in Daley Plaza or even in Dallas on Kennedy's trip, which may or may not be true because it's off-the-shelf killing, so maybe they don't. Then again, maybe they destroyed it. But this is why I know the military was also involved, because they're lending support with the Army intelligence men with the falsified Secret Service ID. Why don't I turn it over to some questions? And ask the questions that you always wanted to, because I know what's in those government documents. Hi.
Let's give Michael Calder a great big hand. Thank you. And if you have any questions, please line up.